simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
It's Thursday, the 20th of November, 2025. It's Ghana Tonight here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. I'm Kemeni Amano. Our top stories. Enlistment screenings into the Ghana Armed Forces resume today as police and other security services open first day of recruitment. Tonight, a look back at day one. No proxy voting in the NPP's presidential primary scheduled for next year. Elections Committee points to logistics challenges and dispute avoidance. Tonight, what party folk have to say. Class Assembly member sentenced to life in prison gets to go home after an appeal and a win. Tonight, where does that leave justice for the murder victim whose killing shook the nation to its core? Big stories for tonight. You're in for a good show this evening. I'm Kemeni Amano. If you just joined us, you're right on time. It's TV3, 392.7 FM. We're also streaming live on Facebook.com, X.com, YouTube.com, 3news.com. Be a part of the program. Use the hashtag alongside your thoughts, comments, and questions. Use the hashtag Ghana Tonight. We'll now bring you Ghana Brief.
Chair of the Women's Caucus in Parliament, Comfort Doyu, has described as unfortunate the physical abuse meted out to 32-year-old domestic violence victim Harriet Amuzu. She advised women not to avoid red flags while in relationships, urging the Ghana Police Service to act with urgency when cases of domestic violence are reported.
This is very unfortunate, and as we've seen this one, it's not the only one. There is a lot that is not in the public domain, and women should be extra careful when it comes to toxic men. The moment you see that red flag, you are a girlfriend, you are not married yet, and the beatings have started, please pack yourself somewhere. She said even in front of the police, the husband beat her there. Why should it be so? What is it that you cannot arrest this man and caution him, ask him to sign a bond?
Meanwhile, 3 Foundation and Management of Media General have started a fundraiser to help secure an accommodation and a shop for 32-year-old domestic violence victim Harriet Amuzu to empower her economically. Harriet has been taken to a safe haven following an intervention by the Gender Minister and the Ghana Police Service. To help Harriet gain financial independence, 3 Foundation, the corporate social responsibility arm of Media General, has started a fundraiser inviting Ghanaians to join hands to help secure an accommodation and shop for Harriet Amuzu. The Court of Appeal has acquitted and discharged the former Assemblyman of Dentro Obuasi, William Barr. The Court of Appeal ruled that the evidence and witness testimonies relied upon by the High Court were insufficient and did not support the conclusion leading to his conviction and sentencing. Lawyer for the former Assemblyman, George Bernard Shaw, expressed delight over the court's decision. The Ghana Armed Forces screened nearly 5,000 applicants on the first day of its nationwide recruitment exercise for the Navy, Army, and Air Force. 2 applicants who presented 4 documents were arrested and handed over to the military police for investigation. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and Interior, led by Chairman James Agauga, visited some of the screening centers and gave an update on the injured who are still receiving treatment at the 37 military hospital.
What we have seen is very satisfactory. I mean, it's impressive. We've seen that, yes, they have now formed quite a number of centers, teams, to simultaneously assess the eligibility of the applicant.
The Institute of Economic Research and Public Policy has critiqued the 2026 budget, saying it did not deliver the paradigm shift it promised Ghanaians. While applauding government for some measures to ensure local production, the institute lashed out at the Bank of Ghana for what it described as artificial sustainability of the cedi.
Let me commend the president for Nkokwan Ketenkete. It is positive to cut down what we would have imported. And so if Ghana, we are able to produce more cars, as Nana Akufo-Addo also brought 6 car assembling plants. We are able to do so many of these things here. People may no longer chase dollars as much as they are doing today to go and what? Import. And that is the major reason why cedi will become what? Stronger.
Secretary General of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, His Excellency Wamkeli Mene, has made a strong case for a bold approach to addressing Africa's significant challenges. Speaking at the B20 summit happening for the first in Africa, Wamkeli Mene said the over-reliance on exports of unprocessed commodities and pre-colonial infrastructure built to benefit colonial masters is effectively working against the advancement of Africa's growth potential.
A very significant part of the mandate of the AFCFTA and the African Union in general is to reverse that trend and to change that pattern and to focus on value addition, transforming raw materials into finished products here on the African continent. A number of areas are absolutely essential.
And tonight here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM, I'm Kemeni Amano. Let's get into our big ones for the night. Enlistment screenings resume, and we have been observing the exercise after the deadly stampede about a week ago. Let's get into that now. Now, Ghana Armed Forces recruitment exercise resumed in Accra, screening thousands of applicants across 5 locations. Chief of Defense Staff Lieutenant General William Ejapong visited the Elwak Sports Stadium location where the deadly stampede occurred 8 days ago. Now, in total, some 5,000 applications have been received across the country. Correspondent Joseph Armstrong reports new safety measures were in place. Nonetheless, 2 applicants who presented forged documents were arrested and handed over to the military police for investigations. Let's hear from some of the registration officers right now.
We have this center as the Elwak Center, and we have 2 different teams for the Elwak Center. Initially, the presser we sent out was that we're going to take care of 600 persons or people per day. Today, based on experience we gathered, or intelligence we gathered from Kumasi, the process at Kumasi, we realized that they were able to do about 1,000 a day. So we realized that we could increase the number to 800.
We found out that one of the applicants had a forged summary sheet. The summary sheet is what you get after you have applied on our portal. So it was realized that there are some unscrupulous people who just dupe these unsuspecting applicants who want to serve the nation, and they create their own interfaces and issue out their own vouchers and give them SMS short messages that they are supposed to come for screening today. So in the process of checking their documents, we found out that one person had a forged summary sheet.
We also know that the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General William Ejapon, who visited the screening centers, also gave an update on the injured victims of last week's stampede. Take a listen.
To commend the general public for adhering to the instructions that only non-applicants should get to the centers. For that has reduced the crowd level, and so things are going smoothly. I can also tell you that for the unfortunate ones who got injured, they are receiving medical treatment at 37. Some of them go in and out. Those who are still on admission are being taken care of well. But for me, what is important is the lessons that we learned from this particular exercise. This has told us that we need to do things differently moving on. And from the next possible recruitment section, we will come out with measures that makes this thing more seamless than it has been.
Also during day one, Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and Interior, led by Chairman James Ogalga, visited some of the screening centers, during which he gave an update on the stampede victims.
What we have seen is very satisfactory. I mean, it's impressive. We've seen that, yes, they have now formed quite a number of centers, teams, to simultaneously assess the eligibility of the applicants.
Well, let's have a quick chat on the back of this. Remember that there have been reforms now as far as the process is concerned. Nanaya Akwada, PhD, is the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. He's joining us for a bit more on this story. Nanaya, talk to us about today's exercise. As far as public safety is concerned, have the lessons been learned, Doc? Well, it would appear we cannot hear Nanaya Akwada at this time. We'll reconnect with him and bring back that story. In the meantime, what you should know is that it's day one. We know the exercise will go on for a few more days. It's not just the Ghana Armed Forces. We know recruitment has also begun into the police service, where there were technical issues, at some point. The police has come out to say that the e-portal problem or technical difficulties will be fixed to, make the process even smoother for applicants. We know that the applications or recruitment also open into the prisons and immigration services as well. Now, I was telling you earlier how two people who had presented forged documents at the Elwak location were handed over to military police. Outside of that, we know that there's proper screening, like you're seeing on your screen. There's proper zoning. Remember that at the Elwak Stadium location, there are two centers. So there's proper zoning, moving from one stage to the other. That is also properly zoned out so that there is proper crowd control this time, unlike what we saw 8 days ago when the stampede took place. Now we know that across the country, some 5,000 applications have come in so far. I want us to take a listen again to the CDS Lieutenant General on the exercise as he observed today.
We want to commend the general public for adhering to the instructions that only non-applicants should get to the centers. For that has reduced the crowd level, and so things are going smoothly. I can also tell you that for the unfortunate ones who got injured, they are receiving medical treatment at 37. Some of them go in and out. Those who are still on admission are being taken care of well. But for me, what is important is the lessons that we learned from this particular exercise. This has told us that we need to do things differently moving on. And from the next possible recruitment section, we will come out with measures that makes this thing more seamless than it has been.
Obviously, the CDS is impressed by the outcome of day one of the resumption of the screening process. He's also very impressed that, the place is not overcrowded, that the instruction sent out to potential recruits has been adhered to, that if you're not an applicant, you don't need to be at the center. Only applicants should be there. And hopefully, this continues throughout the next few days when the exercise continues at the various locations. Remember, 5 locations, 8 sub-centers, including the naval base in Tema. But we also heard from James Agalga. James Agalga is the chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee in Parliament. He went there also, of course, it's duty for them to go and see how things are playing out post the tragic incident that took place. I wanted to take a listen to him. We'll move on to other subjects tonight.
I've seen as very satisfactory. I mean, it's impressive. We've seen that, yes, they have now formed quite a number of centers, teams, to simultaneously assess the eligibility of the applicants.
We're unable to reach again Dr. Akwada, so we'll move on from this subject. When we get him, we'll bring back the story. In the meantime, let's turn attention to party politics, because there will be no proxy voting in the NPP's presidential primary. But could that be the final decision? Let's find out right now. Now, here's the thing. If you were looking forward to vote by proxy in the NPP's presidential primary next year, it is not happening. Not the primary, of course, but the proxy vote. You recall a ban on that form of assisted voting earlier this year. Tonight, we know that the decision has been upheld despite petitions to get rid of it. NPP's Presidential Elections Committee rejected petitions from party students and party folk in the diaspora challenging the ban. Committee Chair Jose Wusu insists the restriction will remain in place to safeguard the credibility and smooth conduct of the polls. Let's take a listen.
The earlier published position or guideline on proxy voting. We've listened to all kinds of petitions. We've read the petitions presented by sections of the party, and after listening to all that, we came to a conclusion that for the sake of conducting an election that is incident-free and election that is respected, election which is accessible to all, a very credible elections, that provision or that ban should be maintained. We will still not have proxy voting in this 2026 presidential primaries. That position is maintained. Thank you very much for coming.
Let's have a quick chat on the back of this. NPP stalwart Dr. Arthur Kennedy joins us with his thoughts on this latest development as far as that process within the party is concerned. Doc, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. But we heard from the chairman of the committee. The committee's decision is that we'll uphold that ban on proxy voting because we want to avoid disputes and we do not want to tackle issues of logistical challenges. Your thoughts on that? Hello, Doc, can you hear me? Oh, I'm going to try again. Doc, I'm asking if you agree, really, with the Presidential Elections Committee position that proxy voting next year during the presidential primary will not happen given reasons of dispute avoidance and logistics challenge. Doc, you'd have to unmute so we can hear you. Right, let's try again. Oh, dang. We cannot hear you, Doc. I think we'd have to reconnect The line is not the best today. What we'll do now is, we faced this twice already. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll fix our connections and then have these conversations. Don't go away.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paint because with this small paints are paying huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
As an architect, Flamingo paint, with its well-researched and solid composition, guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kel Charcoal toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kel Charcoal toothpaste. Kel Charcoal toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo Kendini, who be here, Semetra Sapapadia to Amame Manfo. Kel Charcoal's natural ingredients, and a bomb is so buying, a man is swing, Nesasu Mama Hotoso, a will beg you.
Kel Charcoal toothpaste. Choose Kel Charcoal toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson, Asamo.
Me didn't tum. Mr. Femi Kakalika, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Femi once now.
Hey, is that you?
Improve car.
Yeah.
Captain Mosquito, double the action. Me didn't sasso spray. Mr. Femi sasso quell. Yeah, go to my sasso.
Come Tom Preco.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Obey him later.
Of course.
Go be the luckiest, go be from Georgia be luckiest, from not the because she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest, everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your goddamn boom! If you're poor, what's that? So would the coming of the son of man be. Is that his car?
Ha! Even now, your shadow the way designer.
I use my own mouth to reject him. Oh, this is my mouth. Look at that.
Kwame, my son. Now, tell me the truth. How did this all happen?
Oh, Mommy,
Simple Daleshi. Mr. Good Luck no chemi way.
Yeah,
man.
Easy kwa. Or dial *712#. The devil is a liar. He picked his ticket and entered his lucky 5-digit number.
I'm his baby.
Oh, how romantic.
And he followed the prompt. Yes. And then boom. Confirmation test.
One quick, pick 5 numbers for me, okay? I'm feeling like 7.
Dial *712#. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the
You see how they love you now?
Yo, do you have family permission? Before December, may release a motivation album. Patapa, my super.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
In a nation where public service should mean service to the people, questions are growing about how we live, what we earn, and what we owe to integrity. This November, Media General invites you to a national conversation that goes beyond headlines. The MG Monthly Dialogues on Lifestyle Audits, Reimagining Public Service Ethics. Join leading voices in governance and accountability. Dr. David Ofosu-Dotte, renowned governance and legal reform advocate. Daniel Yahudumlevo, former Auditor General of Ghana. And lawyer Martin Pebu, with a keynote address by Mr. Joseph Wheatle, Commissioner of the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice. It's happening Monday, 24th November 2025 at the Executive Theatre, TV3 premises, Kanda, Accra. Brought to you by Media General, TV3, 3FM, and 3news.com. MG Monthly Dialogues. Integrity is not declared, it's verified.
Boss, what's something?
1, 2, 3. Champion. Oh, title.
They see ahead like a prophet. Oh, Charlie, I just enjoy the game.
No, be boss that. Ala chairman.
Kai, this gathering just leveled up. Coming to test your luck again?
Just here for a good company.
And what? I mean. This is what I bring to the moment. Weddings, parties, funerals, and gatherings like this. This is original Amegabites. Wow!
For your gatherings, there is original Amegabites.
Original Amegabites.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 80 years of age. Not recommended for pregnant women and lactating mothers. Don't drink and drive. This advert is
Welcome back. It's still Ghana Tonight here on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. I'm Kemeni Amana. We apologize for the technical difficulties we are facing. But let's go back to our earlier story while we rework our connections to re-engage Dr. Asa Kennedy on issues around the NPP's presidential primary slated for January next year. Now, I was also telling you earlier how the recruitment into the Ghana Armed Forces has resumed after that deadly stampede some 8 days ago. We know that the CDS, the Defense Committee of Parliament, the Chief of Army Staff, they were all there to observe the process at different centers at different times. And Ryder, let's have a conversation on the back of it because it's been a good process so far. Dr. Nanaya Akwada is the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. He's joined us with his perspective on this matter. Doc, what do you think?
Well, thank you very much, Kemeni. Basically, I think that we should, for starters, we should commend the Ghana Armed Forces, right? For a very good job done. The swiftness, the speed with which they've worked in terms of suspending the exercise and reintroducing it with more, more humane approach to the recruitment exercise. They should be commended. But we must also let them be aware that this is not going to put the Ghanaian to sleep. We would want to see the investigation travel its full course. We would want to know what the outcome of that investigation is, and then who is being held accountable for what, and then what sanctions apply to these individuals. Because let's not forget, it involves 6 lives. This is not just a recruitment exercise go bad. It could have well been a mission to safeguard our territorial integrity, which was approached, in such a poor manner. It could have cost us as a nation more casualties than 6. So the seriousness of this failure should not be left with just a recruitment exercise. Here's how the military works. Every activity is somewhat a mission, and a mission that must be reviewed, a mission that must have good planning into it and everything. And what we saw 2 weeks ago did not, show anything of that sort. And so it's very, very important that the military escalates this and looks at it in the proper manner that they should be looking at it.
And I appreciate what you say about getting the investigation done and getting it done timeously. As far as you're concerned, what will be timeously enough for this investigation?
Unfortunately, I'm unable to share with you any timelines, but investigations could be, relatively short. They could also take time, depending on the workings of the military, right? None of us here know when they started preparing for this recruitment exercise. It could be 2 years ago. So they will probably have to go back to who put what in place 2 years ago, how did they put it in place, who communicated what, how was it communicated, and then before they arrive on the date that the incident actually occurred. So I wouldn't be able to preempt how soon, but look, with all investigations, especially this one involving the death of 6 people, it's absolutely important that if they can hasten these investigations and get a report out, they should. The more they wait, the more it appears justice has not been done. The longer they wait, the more the public loses trust in the military. And that is one thing we don't want to happen. So the earlier or the quicker they do this, the better for them. As we speak, the news of 6 people passing as a result of a mass recruitment exercise is in the news. It has been in the news. It's on BBC. It was on BBC. It was on CNN. It was on Al Jazeera, all the major news networks globally. It was all there. It was reported even on some of the business newspapers. So it is very, very important that the Ghana Armed Forces take steps, very quick steps, to redeem their image. It must be out there that the persons responsible for that, following investigations, they've been sanctioned appropriately, and those sanctions must be made public for us to know. And then from there, they can start rebuilding.
So again, back to the issue of the investigations, right? What will appropriate sanctions look like?
Once again, it must be severe enough and deterrent enough to trigger a sense of accountability within the Ghana Armed Forces, right? I cannot be here, I cannot sit here and say somebody must be fired off his job or somebody must go to jail for this, but the sanctions must be severe enough so that it is deterrent. Because, like I told you, this is a mission that has failed, a whole armed forces mission failure. And in this instance, it cost 6 lives, 6 civilian lives, not 6 military lives, 6 civilian lives. That's how bad it is. Elsewhere, in countries like Americas and things, you cannot just do things that would take the lives of people and go scot-free. You'll be court-martialed. And if you are found culpable, sometimes you can lose your freedom. And so I think that this failure must be looked at in this proper context, that it could have been a mission around our borders which failed. Then we have to, contend with terrorists within our internal security matters. So this is that bad. The mission has failed. They must investigate to find out how the mission failed, how 6 people lost their lives, who is responsible for that, and then take appropriate actions against those people, and then ensure that they put in place a system to ensure that this does not occur. I was telling a sister station sometime earlier today that between 1996 and 2000 and 2001 or so, I was running a drama group in Ghana. Okay. Now, after every performance, we did sit back to do what we call postmortem analysis. We look at what went wrong in the play, what did not go, what went right, what we could have done better, how the admissions were done at the gate, what we could have done better. And it was after every drama. And we are going around schools to perform drama. So you can imagine every school that we went to perform, we sat down later to do a postmortem analysis. And I think this is standard procedure for the military. So if they've been doing this for so many years and they want to tell Ghanaians that they never anticipated a stampede, that is problematic. Okay? So just as it has taken 6 lives for them to restore sanity in the process, it should never happen again. But in order for it not to happen again, the ones under whose watch it occurred must be sanctioned appropriately. And this will serve as a deterrent to others. And also it will assuage the pain of the entire country and the families as well.
Very well. And when I listen to the CDS, one takeaway for me is when he was happy about the absence of non-applicants there. And then also the fact that the applicants there were also well behaved. It would seem as though just a little bit of the military or the armed forces lays blame on the applicants themselves. How does that come to you?
It cannot be. Look, it cannot be. Elwak Stadium is a military facility, right? And more so when the military organizes an event and they are in charge, they can't come to us and tell us about who was authorized to be in there, who was not authorized to be in there. You invited applicants. If non-applicants get in there, they have no business there. So who ensured that non-applicants will have access to the grounds? Whose duty was it? Was it mine? Was it you? It was they themselves. So I think the more they start speaking, I don't know the context under which the CDS spoke, but the more they try to shift the blame, the worse they look. So they should not even go there. Like I indicated, it's a failure. The military should see this as a mission failure. So they should not blame anybody. Elwak is your facility. You were in charge. You were in charge of all the gates. You were in charge of all the gates from the midnight to the time the incidents occur. What did you do? How are non-applicants not accessing the place? I don't think that non-applicants realize that the military has suspended the activity and they have started again, so they won't go back. They put in a process to ensure that non-authorized persons do not enter the perimeter of the recruitment exercise, and it has worked. So we cannot blame applicants for that.
Very well. Doc, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Dr. Nana Akwada is Executive Director for the Bureau of Public Safety. We've been looking at day one of the resumption of recruitment into the Ghana Armed Forces and first day for recruitment, also enlistment into the Ghana Police Service, Immigration and Prison Services as well. Let's turn attention to the other issue on our bill tonight, the NPP's presidential primary. Because if you were looking forward to vote by proxy, the Presidential Election Committee says no, that won't happen, upholding a decision that was taken sometime earlier this year that there will be no vote by proxy. This time, Chairman of the committee, Jose Wusu, is explaining that they want to avoid disputes, but also there will be logistical challenges they do not want to deal with at this time. I want us to go back, listen to Jose Wusu, then we'll connect with Dr. Arthur Kennedy right after that. So let's listen to the chairman of the committee.
The earlier published position or guideline on proxy voting. We've listened to all kinds of petitions. We've read the petitions presented by sections of the party. And after listening to all that, we came to a conclusion that for the sake of conducting an election that is incident-free and election that is respected election which is accessible to all, a very credible elections, that provision or that ban should be maintained. We will still not have proxy voting in this 2026 presidential primaries. That position is maintained. Thank you very much for coming.
MPP stalwart Dr. Asa Kennedy joined us with his perspective on this matter. Doc, thank you so much for your patience. The line has been very tricky tonight. But do you agree with the committee?
Well, good evening to your viewers and my condolences to those who died. I kind of partially agree with the committee based on the limited information that I have. I think that to call it proxy voting is a little bit of a misnomer. There are many different ways of voting. Maybe the more appropriate term might be advanced voting or mail voting. And I think that there were ways that this could have been done, but I do not accuse the committee of any ill motive. I think that Mr. Osei is a very thorough person. He does his homework. So I think that they had challenges that maybe they couldn't overcome. I think that if they work with the diaspora groups, there might be ways of overcoming these challenges. You know, in America, for example, whenever they have elections, all Americans living abroad still vote. You know, there are guidelines about when your ballot must get there, the state the ballot must be in. So I actually acknowledge that the committee has challenges, and unless you get consensus buy-in, it's difficult to operationalize a vote by diaspora groups. But it also begs the question, though, if not now, then when? When will MPP members in the diaspora be able to vote in an election? And it's since MPP normally leads Ghana, it kind of brings us echoes of ROPA that I think people pay lip service to the fact that people abroad must vote someday, but there is no commitment on the ground. So I am disappointed. I wish that the committee had worked harder with the diaspora groups to find ways to get them to vote. I don't think every diaspora group can vote, but some of them, like North America and in Europe and West Africa, which are very well organized, it should have been possible for them to vote.
So there are some members of the party in the diaspora, particularly in the U.S., who feel that this will disenfranchise them. How can the committee go around that?
Oh, obviously, what most of us have been doing is that if you can afford it, you travel home to vote. I think the way to have done it would have been, say, since the U.S. has a very good database of members, you could have sent everybody who is a known member and up-to-date a certified ballot with instructions that those ballots must be marked, put in an envelope and returned to a certain point, maybe 2 weeks before January 31st. If you did that, then the morning of January 31st, you could have opened all those envelopes in the presence of observers or witnesses or agents for each of the candidates. And then once it is done on video, those numbers could be tallied with all the others. So there were ways of getting it done, and it's been done repeatedly by others. So we could have done it too. That is not to say it wouldn't be challenging, but it could be done.
I see. So now the situation is that if you can't come home, you can't vote in the primary come 2026, the presidential primary come 2026. Again, I'll refer to an article that was written by the NPP USA chair, Obaya Amponsa Frimpong, when she says that, look, this decision should not even be taken by the presidential election primary. It should be taken as a collaborative decision between the National Executive Committee and the National Council. Can the NPP walk back on this decision as a result of that?
Well, you can walk back, but I think Obaya is kind of nitpicking a little bit because those bodies she mentions have empowered the election committee to make such decisions. But I think that January 31st is still quite a bit of time away, so there might be time to re-engage, not even just for this election, but for future elections. I actually think that if you get knowledgeable people and people who are committed to carrying out this exercise and for its value as an example to all of Ghana regarding ROPA, it can be done. So I don't think there ought to be confrontation, but there ought to be collaboration in looking for a path forward to see if it can be done now, and if not now, then when.
I see. Doc, I want us to look at the race itself and how it's shaping up. We know that in the beginning, it seemed a bit rough in terms of the conduct of the various camps that have come up as a result of the future election, right? But since then, it would appear we've seen some improvement also in how the campaign towards the election is going. Would you agree with me?
Well, I mean, it can be better, but actually, I personally, on principle, I just think the way this whole thing was done has been a discredit to the party. And I think that men like Mr. Oseusu and his committee, I think the structures are actually very reasonable, but the process ab initio appeared a little flawed. So it kind of puts them in a situation where they get blamed, I think, unnecessarily. So I think that whatever happens on January the 31st, the party will find out that it has a lot of work to do to woo back those who have, to quote Boacheja, resigned in their hearts.
When you say that aspects of the process seemed flawed, what exactly are you referring to?
Well, what I'm referring to is that, you know, generally after the kind of election that we went through, generally electing the party leaders should precede the presidential candidate. And I think I've had occasion to explain why. The reason being that, for one thing, the leadership of the party that is superintending this election itself lacks what I will call confidence in the grassroots. I think the grassroots have a lot of frustrations with the leaders. It doesn't mean it will be all of them. So I think the best way to clear the field will have been for the leaders to go and renew their mandate, so that the masses on the ground could change those leaders they think didn't perform well or have lost their confidence, and they could reinforce the mandates of those they thought had done a good job. Then once you did that, you should turn to electing your presidential candidate. As things stand now, I think we're picking the candidate a bit too early, and we all live to see whether this is a good idea. I think, of course, we are all biased based on where we live and our experiences. That I think that to use the Black Stars analogy, I mean, if the national coach got up and named the squad we are taking to the World Cup right now, a lot of people will be unhappy. The reason they will be unhappy is that soccer depends on form, and politics is like soccer. You know, you look at current form, you look at current issues, you look at issues that have not surfaced themselves yet. I am very confident that by mid-2027 or 2028, the global political environment in Ghana would look very different. So it would be wise to have waited a little bit, in my humble opinion.
I see. We know that today the voter roll was distributed to the candidates and their representatives who were at that news conference with the PEC. One of the candidates we know prior to this, Engineer Kwabena Agyapong, has challenged the other contenders to a televised debate. How does that come to you? Necessary?
Well, I don't know that it is necessary, but it will be useful. I actually think, though, that from my own experience, unfortunately, in our environment, debates and ideas are not as valuable as they are in other politics. You know, for example, after the 2007 MPP and NDC primaries, the Daily Graphic wrote an editorial that I had the best ideas of anybody contesting in both parties. And I got 1 vote in the primary. It didn't matter at all. So I don't know that debates make that much of a difference in the context of where we live.
It doesn't win elections, at least not in our part.
No, it doesn't, unfortunately.
I see. How is the race itself shaping out for you? Are you seeing a winning candidate, not in the presidential primary, but for 2028, as far as the MPP is concerned, excuse me?
I think it is too early. I actually think, we are in 2025. The election is 3 years away. I mean, if you think about it, all other places where elections are coming up in the United States, Senegal will have one in 2029. The races are just foggy because it is so far away, and a lot of things can happen in 3 years. So I think that we would have been wiser to wait. So from my point of view, I haven't gotten excited yet because I believe, unfortunately, and I hope I'm wrong, that whoever the MPP picks will have a lot of credibility problems emanating from the process itself, not necessarily because that person is bad or good. And those process credibility issues will hamper the person. And secondly, I also felt that given where the body politic of our democracy is, I think that this will have been a very good opportunity to move towards what I will call enfranchising the masses, which will mean that everybody who pledges allegiance to a particular party should have been allowed to vote in their primary. That will have been rejuvenating for our politics. It will have demonetized it, and it will have energized our democratic process.
Very well. And just before we let you go, I want us to look at the leadership elections as well. Even though the presidential primary will come before that one, as far as the timetable is concerned right now, we know that the former chairman Paul Afoko has thrown his hat into the ring. What do you think about that?
Excellent idea. I actually think that regardless of who you would vote for, there is a redemptive quality to Paul Afoko's candidacy. I think that the way he was treated was not fair. So if you have a sense of justice, you think that there might be some redemptive quality to his running. Of course, all these contests under those circumstances, as people say in politics, we are not there to do justice. We are there to win elections. President Hillary Mann contested, remember, in 1992 and didn't do well at all. So it is always possible that he wouldn't do well, but I think that there is an exciting and redemptive quality to his candidacy.
Dr. Arthur Kennedy, pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you too, and have a good evening.
You too. Dr. Arthur Kennedy is a stalwart of the NPP. We've just been discussing issues around the primaries of the NPP, particularly on the back of the Presidential Election Committee's decision to uphold an earlier ban on proxy voting, for the presidential primary of the NPP. We'll take another break. When we come back, let's have a look at that viral story about that domestic violence victim. Don't go away. into how you can send in your donations to 3 foundations, account numbers, and mobile money lines to help Harriet Amuzu.
And asked why he lied to me. At night, he wanted to have sex with me. I refused because we've been estranged for 5 months. He told me that he had set a trap for me. He wanted to kill me.
They are handling the criminal aspect of it. And so we'll take the needed steps to ensure that she's also okay. She's healthy and strong. And then we can look at economically how to support her whilst this case is also being handled by the police.
Economic empowerment is important for survivors of domestic violence as it provides them with the needed resources to regain control over their lives. To help Harriet gain financial independence, 3 Foundation, the corporate social responsibility arm of Media General, has started a fundraiser inviting Ghanaians to join hands to help secure an accommodation and shop for Harriet Amuzu. Viewers can send donations to 3 Foundation's Momo number 059 74 33 110, reference Harriet Amuzu. You can also send your donation to 3 Foundation's Zenith Bank account number 6010603927 or by personally bringing your donation to Media General at Desawe Kanda. Let's come together to help Harriet break free from the cycle of abuse and build a great future. No amount is too small.
You can also walk in here to our station here in Kanda and engage the 3 Foundation team and leave your donations for Harriet Amuzu. But that's how we'll end our program today. Always a pleasure coming your way. Eternally grateful for your company. I'm Kemeni Amano. Good night.